Hello everyone. Now that I'm done talking about New World, I want to take the opportunity to share my new gaming setup with you in the chance that it's of interest to anyone out there. To start, I'll talk about where I was before this. Before, I received a lot of help, which, let me just again say, I am very appreciative of those people. I try not to ask for too much help because I don't want people to think that they need to or anything. Yeah, I only ever ask for help when I feel like it's essential to either my health or mental state. Pretty much that's kind of those things. And gaming does help with that kind of stuff. So, because I can play games, when I'm bedridden or things like that, and it really helps me to keep my mind off things when I'm that bedridden. But anyways, so to start, I had modular shelving, a reclining chair, and just whatever I had. I tend to use things for years on end if I can help it because I just don't have the money, and nor do I want to ask for it. Because if it's not broken, I don't need to fix it. So, yeah, that's what I started with, and then recently I added some speakers, microphone, and a old computer to the mix. So I will get into all that right now. Okay, I'll start with the speakers. I did my usual Google searching for all the reviews that I could find to try and locate a better audio source. To be honest, I am so tired of headsets because they almost all of them have this dang leatherette fake thing going on, and if you play for a short period of time, maybe like 1 to 4 hours in a very hot environment, it just gets all gross and it falls apart. Honestly, that fabric stuff, the memory foam and fabric thing, does a lot better than the fake leatherette, but finding headsets with those is pretty hard. And even if you find those, it's very hard to tell which ones work with glasses. So I eventually gave up and went to speakers. Out of all the reviews I could find, I noticed something very interesting. If you go to the Logitech website, logitech.com, and then you click on the G symbol in the top left, it will take you to the gaming side of their websites. When you get to there, there's 3 white bars at the top left. Click that and then click Gaming Audio, and it'll bring you here. Now, under Gaming Audio, you'll notice something interesting. They do list two 2.1 speakers, the Z623 and what is that? G560, yeah. Traditionally, speakers haven't been for gaming, and that's because headsets generally are a little bit better for that, because it helps you to hear, footsteps and things of that nature. But since going to the Z623, I haven't had as much of an issue with that. I can certainly tell that, I'm not able to hear footsteps as far out as I was with the headsets, but I can still hear them. I can compensate also for just by being more aware of my surroundings in games. But I will be fair that when I made this move, I went from a Sennheiser GSP 301 to the Z623. So I went from budget headsets to very high-grade speakers. So that might be another factor. I don't know. Also, I do have an extremely good audio chip in my computer because my motherboard uses a Realtek ALC, I think it's 1192, something like that. It's like 1192 AC or something. It's one of the more common AM4 audio options. So having a high grade audio option does help on the motherboard. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with the audio. One thing I do want to also say here as kind of like a side note in case somebody does go look for this stuff. I noticed when I looked at the technical specifications for the Z623 and the G560 that the Z623 has 2 versions of it. There's the 400 watt and then the older 200 watt version. The 400 watt version is what I have, but here's what's interesting. The 400 watt version is a higher wattage than the G560, and I have no idea why that is. So, yeah, I'm kind of thinking that maybe the Z623 is going to be far better at gaming, just because of the higher wattage rating. But I don't have the money to test that, so I don't know. But I just wanted to point that out in case you go shopping for that. Another thing too, I'll point out while we're doing the comparisons here, the Z623 is right now on sale, not just at the Logitech website, but also Amazon. So instead of $150 for the 400 watt version, it's $120. So if you do want to try it out, by all means go for it. But that's the speakers. Let me move into the microphone. Okay, so as with any speaker, your issue is going to be the audio bleeding into the microphone and then causing an insanely annoying echo for everyone associated with your voice call or whatever. I was looking for a solution that would be on me rather than something on the desk, because I know right away studio microphones are super sensitive and speakers would definitely bleed on that. So I was looking for something with a noise canceling microphone. I checked all up and down for microphones that just could clip onto your ear type of thing. I didn't find too many solutions on that front. So then I was like, well, if I can't find a 3.5mm audio solution for that, then maybe I can find it in the Bluetooth section, because smartphones are so common now that people do use Bluetooth headsets and microphones for that. And sure enough, after enough review searching, I found Blue Parrot. I have never heard about Blue Parrot until I read the reviews up until this week. But apparently the reviews seem to conclude that they are the Bose equivalent of the smartphone world. So out of all the Bluetooth based microphones and headsets that I could find, I had decided to go with Blue Parrot, specifically the C300-XT. There were other Blue Parrots that did get good reviews, but I chose the C300-XT as it was the lowest cost solution with the most features. And sure enough, it lives up to the reputation of the company and the reviews. I have not had any complaints of people saying that my speakers were bleeding onto the microphone. So that's awesome, and I would highly recommend using this. Let me talk about the old computer now, as this ties into that. Okay. So I got my hands on a really old computer. We're talking 5th gen processor for Intel. Yeah, that's how old this computer is that I got my hands on. But everything is working perfectly fine as far as I can see. So what I did was I just got Manjaro on it, and it was performing fine. So I was like, cool. Now let me get a Bluetooth adapter for it, because there's no way that this computer is going to be able to get access to Bluetooth 5 without an adapter. So I went looking, and I in the reviews, and I found this Asus BT500. On the website, the BT500 does specifically state that it works on Linux. The reviews say that it doesn't, but the website, and from what I've seen on my end, does say that it works with Linux. I'll have to do more testing before I can officially recommend this, but as far as the Bluetooth or Blue Parrot and the speakers, I can for sure recommend them, but I have to do more testing before I can recommend this, because one thing that is kind of hard to do when it comes to reviews or testing is that there are so many Linux distributions out there. It's possible that it works with some Linux distributions and then it doesn't work with others. It could just be that case. And maybe that's what the reviews bumped into when they said it doesn't work with Linux. But until more testing is done, I'm at least aware that this can be done. Now, if you wanted to implement a setup similar to mine, but you didn't want to go through the process of Manjaro, I do have a solution for you that I kind of thought of for myself, just in the event things didn't work out. I'll go and tab over now to show you that. Okay. So, the other solution that I was able to think of in place of doing an old computer with Linux is to just buy the last generation phone. Whenever a new phone model comes out, the last generation tends to go down in price. I've chosen the OnePlus 8 for this example for a couple of reasons, and I'll get into that in just a minute, but let me get through the explanation first. So right now, OnePlus is up to the 9, I think it is, but there are somewhat newer models before the 9, like the 8T and things like that. So the absolute oldest you can go is, for at least Bluetooth 5, is the 8, as far as I can tell, on the OnePlus end. But yeah, you could totally do this in place of messing with an older computer and Linux. You could totally do this phone setup where it's just factory unlocked and you don't activate it with the carrier. You just use it simply for the wireless. That's it. That's all you're using it for. Now, you could, in theory, do this with a laptop as well, I guess, but I think that the phone does a little bit better than the laptop because it's a little bit more compact and, well, and depending on what laptop you're comparing it to, it actually, OnePlus 8s are actually stronger than certain laptops. And they don't kick up as much heat too. But anyways, they're super compact, and it comes with everything on it, the touch screen and everything, so you don't have to worry about a keyboard, mouse, and other things. So I guess you could do that. You could use a laptop, but you would just have to be aware that laptops kick up more heat. And you would have to worry about using a keyboard and mouse, whereas with this is just all in one go. So just something to think about when that alternative. Now let me talk about OnePlus specifically and why I'm using this as an example. One thing I have learned reading all these reviews and other things is OnePlus has more of an update system than the other phones, because other phones like the Galaxy series, it has a hardware and software limitation when it comes to updating the Android version as well as the other software associated with it. But Android or OnePlus is, according to reviews and other tech people, don't have as much of limitation. They can update to some of the latest Android versions and software versions. I actually do own a OnePlus, so I can confirm that this is the case. I have been updating my OnePlus to Android versions that are the most recent, which is something that I'm not used to seeing, because I used to have Samsung Galaxies prior to this. I think I had the Samsung Galaxy 7 prior to the OnePlus or something like that. But yeah, I can upgrade like crazy on my OnePlus, and so it's very easy for me to see that, based on my own personal experiences, that it holds true that OnePluses do upgrade much further out than the other phones out there. While on that topic, I noticed that there are a lot of people who say Android is hard to use and stuff of that nature, or another complaint I see is that they just don't have good hardware. Let me go ahead and nip that in the bud. I have noticed a lot of people who have tried Androids are people who have been on iPhones. iPhones and Macs in general are designed to be so simple that you don't need a class on them. So you're really doing yourself a disservice by not learning how to use new equipment and software, and for that matter, diagnosing a piece of equipment. Because if you rely on the company to do all the work for you, it's not going to work out real well for you in certain areas. So I do highly encourage using Android if you can. However, if you feel that you need an iPhone for a very specific reason, like you are a video editor or something, and it just happens to work with your Mac ecosystem, then fine. But don't get caught up on iPhones. Androids are just as good now. The only downfall is that you have to do your research, because iPhones, they come in one model, kind of like the Henry 4T model. They always come in one model with very specific hardware and very specific software. Androids, on the other hand, aren't that straightforward. They come in all sorts of models, hardware, and features. You have got to do your research before buying an Android. You can't just expect it to function the way you want it to. It is going to take not only research to find the Android model that works for you, but also, it's going to take some time to get used to a different ecosystem. But I guarantee you that ecosystem is going to reward you, not just for all of this going on, but also for streamers. Because if you're a streamer especially, Android has a lot of good stuff right now for you, if you can learn Linux. If you can learn Linux, there are some integrations between Android and Linux right now that would make you more of a mobile streamer than the other solutions out there. That's a whole nother mess to explain, but my point is, give Android a chance. Don't diss it or don't downgrade just because you came from iPhone. Give it a chance. Okay, with that said, I just want to quickly branch out into some other alternatives. Okay. So one of the alternatives you can use for the modular shelving system like mine is Rubbermaid. Rubbermaid makes a shelving system, and you can see pictures of it here, but their shelving system, even though it says it's designed for closets, it actually has a 250-pound limit. I actually did confirm this. I called the Rubbermaid customer support to see if they could tell me what their weight limit is, because I know with Elva shelving it's 500 pounds. That I can confirm, but Elva shelving is a lot harder to get a hold of, and it's more expensive. So that's why I've did my research with Rubbermaid, because I was kind of like, well, there are two other solutions. There's Elva shelving and one I can't remember the name to, but both are very expensive and not easy to come by. But Rubbermaid, on the other hand, seems to be very easy to come by. So that's why I went through the trouble of calling Rubbermaid customer support, because I was like, they're not listing, what its weight limit is or things like that. So I can't gauge a good comparison here. Gauge or make a comparison here, because I don't have those numbers. But yes, I called Rubbermaid customer support, and they said that they can confidently say 250 pounds is its limit. So that means that you can put your heaviest PC on it and it won't be an issue. But anyways, you can use something like this and just put your computer, monitor, and other things on top of it. That will resolve that with the whole shelving unit, so that you can make it work. Because the problem with desks is that it's not going to work with chairs like mine, which have the recliner, because they have something going on below it, whether it be its legs or something. But because modular shelving units like this Rubbermaid, they drill into the wall, they don't have any feet associated with them, so you have clear space to push up that leg rest. But yeah, so that's the alternative to the modular shelving. Let me give you a couple for the recline chair. Okay. As far as I know, as quote-unquote gaming recliner chairs, there's only one example, and that's the Respawn 900. I've seen mixed reviews on the Respawn 900, so I don't know if this is good to recommend or not, but I'm at least aware it exists, and that it does offer something kind of unique in comparison to other reclining chairs that you can get, such as the cup holder, because it does have an integrated cup holder in one of the armrests, at least from the last model I've seen. I was kind of leaning back at the, looking at the monitor to see if maybe this had it. Yeah, I can sort of see it. So yeah, it still has that. Okay, cool. But yeah, so you could do something like this, or something like this. Because the modular shelving doesn't have anything under it, you can make really anything work. And one of those is a zero gravity chair. So if you wanted to go for something a little bit more expensive, actually a lot more expensive than something like a Respawn 900, or maybe a reclining chair that you can find at your general furniture store, this is something you can look at. So zero gravity chairs are another detailed topic, because from what I've read, there are like quote unquote zero gravity chairs, and then there's medical grade zero gravity chairs. As far as I know, this is one of the few medical grade zero gravity chair companies, called Human Touch. But yeah, so if you wanted to get something a lot more comfortable, you could do something like this. Now, the reason we need to bring up the whole medical wording is because the zero gravity chairs that are medical grade are chairs recommended by doctors for people with back injuries, pregnant, or things like that. So as far as like true comfort goes, zero gravity chairs are going to be far better than your average gaming chair, or for that matter, just the general furniture that you find at your just average furniture store. Obviously, they're going to be super expensive though. Medical grade zero gravity chairs, from what I've seen, start at $2,000. They are not cheap. And Human Touch is going to be kind of towards the high end of the medical grade. They're going to be sitting closer to $5,000. So yeah, this is not cheap by any means, depending which models you're talking about. But if you're absolutely looking for comfort, you can totally make this work in the gaming setup if you're using the modular shelf. But unfortunately, I can't afford that, or for that matter, I'm not going to ask for it. But I'll just use the old reclining chair that I have and just hope for the best. But yeah, these are just some things to think about, and hopefully my little adventure with new setup tries, helps you with your gaming setup. But that's all I have for now. Thanks for listening.